Before the first boundary stone was set in that valley, a yew had already claimed the hill. Its roots pressed downward into chambers of bone and memory. Its crown pierced the pale height where unborn names waited like seeds in frost. Through trunk and sap ran the vertical law, Iwas, life rising through death, death feeding life. Beneath that yew stood the mysterious loom. It did not hum, it strained. It was tended by the great seer. She did not spin new threads, she guarded their crossings, where weight passed from one life to another. In the village below lived a man of strength and means. He inherited land already cleared, barns already raised, tools forged by hands now dust. He was offered binding, a woman whose steadiness matched his own, fields that required many hands to flourish, elders who needed younger backs beside them, a chance to be bound to legacy. He refused, not angrily, calmly. "I will not narrow my life with oath and duty," he said. "I can hire labor. I can purchase care. I have not seen the world nor achieved my happiness, so I owe no one my youth." He prospered. He built comforts. He automated what his grandfather had done by hand. When fences sagged, he paid men from outside the valley to set them right. When elders stumbled, he arranged transport rather than his own hand for help. When winter came, he brought warmth and hid in his big fancy box, rather than cutting wood and tending the paths. For why should he suffer the cold when he can pay someone? He lived a life where gold solved all things. So he believed. The woman he had not taken as his faced the frost of the outer realm, forced to abandon her nature. The hearth that should have known her constancy was ice. She stayed in the cold and lifted burdens meant for broader shoulders. Her home stood silent while her heart hardened from work that was not hers. At night, her house was not empty, but it was not rooted. Men came and stayed for seasons. She chose them as much as they chose her, seeking warmth and pleasure where covenant had once been offered. Men spoke of fullness. She sought only fragments to create her ideal. This misery only weakens horizon. She bore children. They carried many faces, but fully belonged to none. They grew among shifting voices and temporary fathers, each child born rootless, without a single identity, abandoned for career and pleasure, and never learning how to fulfill their duties to Wyrd. Her thread did not break, it split. In the village, elders who once relied on sons and daughters found themselves adjusting to new safeties. Railings replaced hands, instructions replaced memory, outsiders installed new systems quickly, and left quicker. They worked for coin, not continuity, pinching and scamming the vulnerable elders. A roof was repaired at triple the cost, and not in the way that would endure the valley's particular snowfall, leading to future hardship. A drainage ditch was cleared, but not at the angle for spring thaw, leaving lakes of ice and slush for elders to navigate. A safety standard changed for outsiders, because their constitution is lacking for the environment, making the new dangerous for the local elders. One icy morning, a grandfather slipped where the village once maintained, but now neglected. The fall did not let him rise again. The assembly of the town was filled with outsiders who did not understand the nature of where they lived. Their foolishness sent grandfather to the ancestors' hall. The town's thread twisted, tangled, taut. As the seasons kept turning ever more with time, the fields began to change, not from distant catastrophe, from neglect of intimate knowledge. The hedgerows were trimmed for neatness, not for nesting. The stream bank was straightened for efficiency, not for spawning. The old apple tree, which required patient grafting and careful pruning, was cut down and replaced with a faster-growing variety that bore fruit beautifully and snapped under the heavy snow. The cattle were fed well, but abandoned for tiny white capsules and rabbit food. The soil yielded, but increased demand thinned it each year, because rotation was calculated by market and not by memory. Nature did not rage. She withdrew. In the later years of his life, the man climbed the hill with the yew. He had heard whispers of the mysterious loom that wove all. He wished to see whether his life was measurable and worthy. He believed by achieving his own independence, his own future, his own shiny stuff, that his thread would be bright and prominent in the great tapestry. As he tumbled in, the seer did not greet him nor look at him. He frantically began searching and eventually found his thread. It was strong, bright, uncut. He felt vindicated. He felt victorious. "You see," he said, relief in his guts, "I have done no harm. My thread is worthy thread that makes everything and everyone better and brighter." The seer lifted her staff very slowly as she moved it closer towards the threads. His hope began melting like spring's ground. Where a branch should have risen upward into the yew's ascending grain, there was void. Not torn, not severed, unmade. Around that vacancy, other threads bore unnatural strain. The woman's line, once meant to twine with his, now split and twisted, binding and unbinding the transient strands that never fully held. Her children's filaments flickered where paternal weight should have steadied it. An elder's thread, which should have been thickened through the support of younger hands, sagged thin and ended abruptly in a dark knot. Across the pattern subtle warps spread. Where he had paid others to stand in his place, their strands touched lightly, without root or crown. They carried no upward thrust into the yew, no downward feed into ancestral soil. When coin ceased, so did the tension. The mysterious loom had adjusted his threads weaving to his will. It always adjusts to those with a will to shape. High in the yew, a branch that might have grown straight now bent toward shadow. In the roots below, one channel of nourishment ran dry, starving many. "It holds," the man said, though his voice had lost certainty. "It holds," the seer replied. "Wyrd endures all because it redistributes what is useless." He looked again at his own strand. It ran solitary, clean, self-contained, untouched by fracture. It also bore no branches, no upward surge into leaf, no downward anchor into bone. It simply passed through the weave and faded beyond it. For the first time he saw what gold had purchased: efficiency, comfort, distance. He was nothing, a lone thread to fade and be forgotten, no knot to anchor his thread to the ever-turning. "Can it be joined now?" he asked. The seer rested her palm against the yew. "Some things bind early and rise tall. Some bind late and grow crooked, some remain solitary and leave no grain in the wood. As she finished, wind moved through the needles overhead, carrying the quiet yet heavy sound of generations rising and falling along the axis. When the man finally descended the hill, the village remained as it had become, though his visit with the great seer changed how he saw it. The woman still cold, yet warmed many men. The children still fatherless, yet have many fathers. The elders still near, yet abandoned for many comforts. The fields still tended, yet abused for many profits. And he still existed, yet fated to fade away as nothing. The mysterious loom did not curse him. It simply bore the memory of a beam that had chosen not to stand. And in the great tapestry, the space where a thread is not woven is never empty. It is carried by those who must stretch and strain in its place.